So you get up late, and realize that there is an important meeting scheduled for today. What's more, the meeting is starting earlier than usual. What is going on in your mind when driving to work? Many people in such instances will not have following traffic rules as a top priority. Should one slow down while taking a turn? Should they wait for the red light to go green, especially when there appears to be no traffic? Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Mind Brunch. This is the second part of the series on Design for Error. Many of us consider ourselves as lucky for scraping through such situations without any major consequences. However, not everyone can speak of that. By taking risks, many workers continue with their usual job every day. Since the rules in these workplaces are so rigid, you can't expect people to follow all the rules and still finish the work they are assigned. Those who manage workplaces need to take much of the blame for this. Many of the work-related rules are set to meet the regulations and not how the workers get around their job. So when things go wrong, workers are condemned, who would otherwise be awarded when they get stuff done right. The task is for the higher-ups to determine why errors continue to happen, in spite of the employees following the rules they set, and work towards eliminating systemic flaws that contribute to those errors. A culture that encourages completion of tasks and meeting expectations above all else risks the onset of impending errors, some of which can be detrimental. Whenever a person deviates from a generally accepted behavior, they are said to have committed an error. This general acceptance of behaviors and actions can either be loosely based on something already set as a rule and followed, or can be determined after the fact. Don Norman and psychologist James Reason have developed a breakdown of errors. They are divided into two main categories: slips and mistakes. This has since been followed while investigating accidents involving human errors. Slips occur when the end goal of a task is set right, but the action that is followed is not. In short, slips occur when the plan is correct, but the execution is otherwise. Mistakes happen when the plan itself is wrong, meaning that the end goal is incorrect. When someone aims to finish a task and misses a step in the process, we say that a slip has occurred. There are two kinds of slips: action-based slips and memory-based slips. Further classification within each category of slips is based on the cause for a particular slip. Let us explore more into it. We'll use the example of having breakfast to understand slips further. An action-based slip occurs when, after pouring cereals and milk, you place the bowl in the refrigerator instead of the milk carton. A memory-based slip occurs when you forget to pour the milk and return the carton in the fridge. In the case of a mistake, since the goal itself is at fault, any steps taken in its pursuit will become part of the mistake. Mistakes are classified into rule-based mistakes, knowledge-based mistakes, and memory-lapse mistakes. Rule-based mistakes happen when a diagnosis of a problem leads to an incorrect course of action. When the problem itself is misdiagnosed, then a knowledge-based mistake is said to have taken place. A memory lapse makes one forget the order of steps to follow. Let us now take another real-life scenario to understand what each of these mistakes mean. You are driving to visit a friend and have to use the map to reach the destination. A knowledge-based mistake occurs if you get the destination wrong, like using an old address. A rule-based mistake would occur when you take the wrong route, although you have entered the destination correctly on the map. A memory lapse will make you forget to take a left turn, and instead turn right. To identify if the error is a slip or a mistake, we need to observe where each error type lies within our cognition levels. Mistakes transpire at a higher mental stage, compared to slips. Every action occurs in the following stages. Once the goal is set, a plan is devised, replete with specifications. Following this, the action is performed. A feedback from the environment is then received, which based on the interpretation, will later be compared with the original plan. Slips can occur in the lower stages of action, like planning, performing, perception, or interpretation. Mistakes, as discussed before, appear the moment a wrong goal is fixed, as well as during the comparison stage. Memory lapses can occur between any two stages along the chain of action. Also, slips are subconscious, while mistakes are conscious in nature. In the previous episode, we saw how as creative beings, we humans can often find repetitive work boring. But the same creativity can also backfire when we try to relate remote objects due to a perceived similarity. Summarizing a situation to get a simpler idea helps us understand a new environment with ease. However, the same may sometimes nudge us to leave out critical information, thus contributing to a mistake. Let us now turn our focus on the different kinds of slips. Slips make up most of the everyday errors. You intend to do something and end up doing something else. Quite common. But what is interesting about slips is the fact that experts are more prone to commit slips than novices. You may wonder how. Well, experts work in an almost automatic fashion, with tasks handed mostly by the subconscious mind. Sure, you're used to messaging in one hand and having food in the other. But you do tend to misspell a word here and there and blame autocorrect. Those who are new to a task will take considerable care while working on them, thus running a lower risk of any slip. With that, let us learn what are those different types of slips and how they come to be. Capture slips occur when a part of the plan is repeated in two distinctive tasks, giving rise to confusion. Imagine, on a weekend, you start from your place and head towards a park, except, midway, you continue to the workplace. How does it happen? Maybe it is the difference of a single turn between the two routes, with your subconscious mind guiding you to the place that you drive to the most. Description similarity slips occur when different articles or practices share a similarity in their physical features. At the grocery store, you may pick up the wrong carton of milk with a different percentage of fat while you're in a hurry. A likely reason for this will be every carton looks similar, with only a slight change in number that is displayed on the pack. Mode error slips happen when we use an appliance that uses the same control or a switch for different actions. In short, compared to the previous category of slips, where two things look similar, in this case, we get confused because one object has different functions. There are some lights in most homes that have multiple switches. Now, when you switch off one of them, it might mean off or on, depending on what the rest of the switches are set at. The most common is the presence of a single knob in a music system that can be used in different modes and will give a different output in each mode. You're bound to be confused about the output when you are unsure of its present mode. And how many times have we set the alarm to 6 p.m.? Memory-lapse slips are the most common of all slips. We have all forgot to collect a pen that we lent to a friend. Or, we might have been that friend instead. People sometimes lock the door, forgetting the key inside, and the list goes on. Many improvements can be made with the design to provide a feedback to the user. These days, one can see some of the implementations as well. The refrigerator lets out a sound if the door is open for too long. At work, distinct tasks, those involving similar steps, can be indicated by a change of environment, color codes, or in some other manner. Displays can be used to show the present mode, so as to avoid any confusion. Also, having different shapes for different knobs is found to be very effective. The aircraft industry has implemented many of such changes to good effect. The cockpit is room to innumerable switches and controls. Imagine, if two different variables are displayed in a similar fashion. If the angle of descent and the speed of descent are displayed the same way, things can go from bad to worse in the blink of an eye. Many accidents have occurred due to such anomalies, only for later investigations to reveal the root issue, which is corrected in due time. This was part 2 of the series on Design for Error. The main source is the book, The Design of Everyday Things, by Don Norman. You can find the link to purchase the book in the description, down below. What are the slips that you can relate to? Share them in the comments section. Give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new, and share. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you for watching this episode of Mind Brunch.